Welcome to week 10 of On Deck with Rachel Becker. I'm Kylie Austin, and today I'm joined by our Big 12 softball insider, none other than the Rachel Becker. Rachel is a two-time All-American, leads the NCAA in doubles, and played at Oklahoma State and Purdue, and was 2023 first team All Big 12. Rachel currently plays for the Oklahoma City Spark and is now our Big 12 insider. Rachel, I'm so excited to talk to you again this week.
Thank you, Kylie. We had some mix up in the Big 12 standings last weekend and some exciting matchups coming up, so can't wait to talk about it.
It's so exciting. Let's go ahead and kick things off by talking about some of those shakeups, our top programs making noise, and we'll talk a little bit later about Texas Tech and Arizona, but I really want to talk about Arizona State right now. The Sun Devils are now 11-7 in Big 12 play. What are you seeing from this team?
Yeah, Arizona State has been playing very well. They boosted themselves up 3 spots in the conference standings this week. They're now up in that number 3 spot right behind Texas Tech and Arizona. They've won 5 out of their last 6 conference games. They took 2 out of 3 from Kansas and then swept Utah last weekend on the road in Salt Lake City. So they're just playing some really good softball right now. They're pitching behind their ace. Kenzie Brown has been outstanding. She has an ERA of 1.18 with 221 strikeouts, which is absolutely insane. Just putting up great numbers this year, holding down other teams' offenses. And then the Arizona State hitters have been putting it together. They have 6 players in their lineup hitting over 300 with 60 doubles as a team and 44 home runs as a team as well. So they take on Baylor next weekend at home. Super excited about this matchup, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Baylor later, but they've been playing well, won all of their non-conference games last weekend. So I think this is going to be another great matchup in the Big 12.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to dive back down into our matchup last week. We had Iowa State at Oklahoma State. You were calling those games, and the Cyclones walked away with that series win. Tell me a little bit about what you saw on the ground.
Yeah, so Iowa State came in just firing on all cylinders. They played extremely well behind their pitcher, Lauren Skirman, who was named the Big 12 Player of the Week. And then we also had Sydney Malott, 4 home runs on the weekend, just was so powerful in their offense. And again, the Big 12 Player of the Week. So Iowa State coming into Stillwater, taking 2 out of 3 from the Cowgirls is huge. And they just played outstanding on all facets of the ball. And the Cowgirls, I think, were just caught on their heels a little bit. And they've kind of been up and down this whole season and just kind of struggling to piece together their offense and pitching and defense all together in one game. So Iowa State coming in and playing extremely well and got the best of them last weekend.
Always exciting to see those kind of shakeups in the conference. And it is finally time to talk about the series that we've been waiting for. This week's matchup of the week is Texas Tech at Arizona, our number 1 and number 2 in Big 12 play. Rachel, let's break down these powerhouses.
You're exactly right. This is the matchup that I've been waiting for a few weeks, have had it circled on my calendar, the top 2 teams in the Big 12. But even if Arizona sweeps Texas Tech this weekend, Texas Tech is still going to hold that number 1 spot because they've only lost 1 conference game the whole season so far. And that was just to Oklahoma State opening weekend, which was over 12 wins ago for Texas Tech. So they are really just on a hot streak right now in the Big 12. Breaking down Texas Tech a little bit, they just came off of a sweep of Houston. Nyjah Kennedy, we all know, the reigning player of the year, had over 12 strikeouts and about 8 innings pitched. Samantha Lincoln and Chloe Riasetto, the other pitchers for Texas Tech, showed up big last weekend against the Cougars. And I think that they're really going to need those arms of Lincoln and Riasetto to complement Nyjah Kennedy because she's not going to be able to throw every inning against Arizona. And Arizona has a super powerful and dynamic offense. So they're really going to need those 2 players to step up. And then offensively, for the Red Raiders, they have Reagan Jennings, Lauren Allred, just both high average, good hitters in the top of that lineup. And then Alexa Langoliers bringing a lot of power to their offense as well. So I'm excited to see how they kind of match up against the Arizona pitching staff and Devin Netz and Miranda Stoddard, who have been super dominant this whole season. And then talking a little bit more about Arizona, they're coming off of a series sweep as well. They took on Kansas in Lawrence, run ruled the Jayhawks in 2 out of 3 of these matchups. Their offense put up 28 runs through 3 games, and that was powered by Paige Dimmler from Arizona, 5 RBIs in the last 2 games. Jenna Sniffen, a 6 for 10 weekend at the plate. So 2 very hot hitters to watch for Arizona. And we've been talking about their offense all season. They have just been so consistent in putting up runs. And then the pitching staff for Arizona, Devin Netz, Miranda Stoddard, only giving up 4 runs as a whole on that weekend in Kansas. So great weekend for them. I'm really excited to see how the Arizona offense comes out against Nyjah Kennedy. I think this is going to be a really good test for that Red Raiders team. But yeah, Texas Tech is able to hold strong and get a couple of wins this weekend. I don't see any way that they don't win the regular season Big 12 title. They have been playing so strong this entire conference season.
Both of those teams are truly just so deep and have absolutely stacked rosters. Do you have any predictions on who will win?
So I think that Texas Tech is going to take 2 out of 3. I think Nyjah is going to throw 2 of those games, and those are the wins that they're going to get. And then Arizona is going to, their offense is going to take over in that game where Nyjah isn't able to throw, and they're going to get a win. So I think it's going to be Texas Tech 2 wins. Arizona, I think they're going to steal a game.
I love to hear that. Staying atop Big 12 standings. Looking ahead, are there any other matchups that really jump out at you?
Yeah, so for me, it's going to be the Baylor versus Arizona State. I mentioned it earlier, but Baylor has won 8 of their last 9 games, is creeping up in the conference standings. They're up to that 6th spot now with a 7-8 record in the Big 12. So very hot right now, have played a tough schedule all year. So they are battle tested and ready. Arizona State, we talked about a little bit. They're playing really strong softball, have won 7 of their last 8 games in that 3 spot in the standing. So both of these teams, I think, are really just hitting their stride at the right time, is that back half of the conference season. So I'm really excited to see how this matchup plays out.
We're definitely getting to that important stretch for teams as they're looking to make runs into the Big 12 conference tournament and going into postseason play. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Alova Brittingham of BYU. You talked about her last week as well. What makes her so great at bat for the Cougars?
Yeah, Brittingham for BYU is just one of those amazing freshmen that you don't see very often. She's leading the Big 12 in batting average, hitting 441, which is huge numbers, leading the Big 12 in slugging percentage at 874, leading the Big 12 in home runs. She has 17 home runs this year, which you don't often see such a high average hitter with that much power in their bat. And it's, again, she's only a freshman, so the ceiling is like so high for her. She has so much potential, already putting together an All-American season, up to 56 hits this season with 57 RBIs. So she's just been a huge difference maker for BYU and really putting a punch in their offense.
Guys, definitely the limit for Alova, as high as she wants to climb. Let's talk about who else we should be watching in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Iowa State's Sydney Malott really impressed me last weekend in Stillwater. She hit 4 for 10 on the weekend with 4 home runs and 6 RBIs to help Iowa State take the series over Oklahoma State. And 2 of those home runs she hit off of the All-American Ruby Malin, which is not easy to do at all. Ruby Malin is a fantastic pitcher, and for Sydney Malott to come in and blast 2 home runs off her, she really made a statement. So just been a difference maker at the plate. Definitely going to keep an eye on her as Iowa State takes on Kansas this weekend at home in Ames.
Absolutely, definitely a player to watch. And we've already talked about it a little bit, but last week you said that Baylor would be the team that would be on the rise. They swept their non-conference opponents over the weekend. So in my book, you've been right on the money every single week on who your team is that's flying under the radar. Who is it for you this week?
So I don't know if this team is necessarily flying under the radar because I feel like we've been talking about them a little bit, but Iowa State just took 2 out of 3 games from the powerhouse Oklahoma State. They have 9 wins in the Big 12 right now, which is 2 more than that team has ever had in the Big 12 throughout their entire history. And they still have yet to play Kansas and Utah, who are both in the bottom of the Big 12. So a tremendous opportunity for them to get several more wins the rest of this conference season and boost up in the standings right before that tournament in OKC. And then I think BYU is another team that I'm looking at. They're in the 5th spot in the standings. And again, going to play Utah this weekend, who is towards the bottom of the Big 12. So another good opportunity for BYU to get a few more wins and just keep rising in the conference standings. But it's going to be a great weekend in the Big 12. I'm super excited about that Texas Tech and Arizona matchup. Arizona State and Baylor are going to be another great matchup. So it's just getting more fun as time goes on and we get closer to that conference tournament in Oklahoma City.
Absolutely. It's going to be so exciting. And I can't wait to start building up to the Big 12 championship in OKC in a couple of weeks. We've truly gotten to cover so much today. But that is all for On Deck with Rachel Becker covering Big 12 softball. Huge thanks to Rachel for all of your insight. You really keep this fun and lively. Don't miss our matchup of the week, the Texas Tech Red Raiders at Arizona. And then be sure to be on the lookout for those teams like Iowa State and BYU that are making runs up through the standings. Be sure to follow Big 12 Studios on social media and the Big 12 Conference YouTube channel for all your highlights and updates throughout the week. See you next time, and until then, stay locked in on Big 12 softball.